right, guys, this is a new segment I'm doing here, and I have a guest with me by the name of Vladivostok3701, and
How's it
today we're
going?
going to be discussing sexual degeneracy. So, I was watching your video. Do you think you could summarize your video for our audience? Many of them couldn't watch the entire thing.
Um, the one I made back in April,
Yeah.
the 25-minute long one. Okay. Trying to see if I can remember. Well, basically, I said that the sexual revolution of the 1960s had the effect of uh, crippling the nuclear family. People don't want to get married and have kids in a traditional family setting anymore, because the sexual revolution has essentially incentivized men and women not to engage in monogamous relationships. They'd rather go out and get their neg holes paused at Bill's standard fuck party or something. And the sexual revolution was caused by a number of theorists like Margaret Mead and Alfred Kinsey, who released works that basically said that promiscuity is great, and that monogamy is a thing of the past there, going, and you don't need to live under oppressive social structures anymore, and that yeah.
Yeah, didn't you say that one of those philosophers you just mentioned stuck something down his penis hole?
Yeah, Alfred Kinsey, he was a huge degenerate. He was actually the guy who invented the Kinsey scale. It's like a scale from 0 to 7 on how gay you are, which is like it's widely used by like psychologists today. But yeah, he was a huge degenerate. I think I mentioned in my video that he stuck like metal wires and toothbrushes into his penis, and like he had orgies with everybody he worked with. And yeah, I think I read somewhere that he actually died by giving himself a botched circumcision, and I think he died of an infection from it.
What the hell, dude? Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, like yeah, he's definitely an oven-worthy individual.
Yeah, definitely. He's worthy of the helicopter and the oven.
Yeah, the ovenable helicopter. It's just like,
But yeah, so there's another sexual perversion that we have seen, obviously, that the left is trying to push. Um, you're aware of cuckoldry, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, not firsthand.
Unless you've been living under a rock, of course.
Yeah, I know about cuckoldry.
Yeah. So why do you think the left likes to push all this like sexual degeneracy into us? Like, what good comes from it? Like, do you think it's just operated with just full hate? Do you think it's just, or do you think it's just that the leftists are just naturally degenerate?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's like a monolithic entity that's pushing sexual degeneracy. I think a lot of different groups on the left are pushing this agenda for various reasons. I think you have like the useful idiots, like the rank and file foot soldiers of the left, who basically they just want, like they just think with their dicks. Like they don't really think, like they don't really want anything out of life other than my dick, my cum, as long as I get to have hedonistic degenerate sex, that's all I care about. And these people, I think these people are like the majority of the people who are pushing degeneracy, just like hedonistic, nihilistic idiots. And then you have like the intellectual forefathers of degeneracy, like Kinsey and Mead, and all these like cultural Marxist stooges, who I think for various reasons they're pushing this. One of the reasons I believe is to break up the nuclear family, essentially, because in a traditional society, the nuclear family, that is one man, one woman, and their children, that is the foundation of any society. All of civilization is built upon that singular family unit. And once you break down like the patriarchal family structure, like once you replace, you know, the male breadwinner with, you know, the state, or like the welfare state, and, you know, you satisfy, you know, people's sexual urges with like pornography or with like just degeneracy, then people aren't motivated to have families. People are much more easily controlled by a central authority like the government, because, you know, they don't rely on family members for, you know, support, which they did in the past. And so if you have a society where all these people are just, you know, they're essentially just pawns leeching off the state, then you know, you can do whatever you want with them. You can, you know, herd them en masse into any in any direction that you please.
Yeah, that's true. So, where else do you think this also comes from? Or I'm echoing.
You know, do you mean like where this comes from? Like, is that what you're referring to?
No.
We can talk about the JQ if you want. This is your stream, man.
Well, you want to do the JQ?
Well, I mean, why don't you lead us off? What do you think that, you know, the chosen people have to do with sexual degeneracy?
Well, I wouldn't say it's all of them completely, but I would say it's the ones that are hedonistic as well.
So you think that, you know, it's just hedonism that's pushing this?
Yeah, I don't think it's you know who those people are.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at, you know, I don't think Kinsey was Jewish, and I'm pretty sure Margaret Mead wasn't Jewish.
But what about? But sick-minded Freud wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very Jewish, but, you know, I don't think his goal was to, you know, start all this degeneracy. I think that he would actually have disapproved of this, but it's just that his ideas are being used to prop up this idiotic framework that a lot of these, you know, these neoliberal theorists are using to push for sexual degeneracy.
Another thing I also feel like could have helped all this degeneracy. Can you mute yourself quickly? I'm echoing.
Oh yeah, one sec.
I think another thing that's also pushing the sexual degeneracy could be LGBT. You know how like I'm not saying all gays or anything like that. I'm not saying gays are degenerate. Not all of them are, because there are some like Jack Donovan that I admire. But do you think that the concept that they usually push, that love is love, therefore you could love anything, do you think that's where it could also come from as well, the whole sexual degeneracy nonsense?
Oh wait, I was muted. I think you have to be careful about using the term love. I think, you know, the term love gets used. It's thrown around much too loosely these days. To me, love is not, you know, getting your neck hole paused and, you know, hedonistic pleasures and, you know, like one night stands and all that. I think that love is when you look out for the best interests of somebody, like when you try to set someone on the right path, when, you know, their interests become your interests.
Yeah.
So like the way that love, like the term love, is used by like LGBT activists and, you know, degenerates who say like, oh, we should have the right to love whoever we want. Like, yeah, okay, but if you love, like if you supposedly love someone of the same sex, then you probably shouldn't be engaging in these high-risk sexual activities, these, you know, very harmful sexual activities that have a demonstrably destructive effect on the body, like that's not love. That's just, you know, pursuing the pleasures of the moment. Like,
Yeah.
like love is what, you know, two parents feel for their children. That's love. That
Yeah.
love is not, you know, engaging in some sort of mass orgy, or, you know, having, you know, 50 different sexual partners. Like that's not love.
Yeah. And you know how many times like leftists like to argue that that it's always like this mud dick argument that we are just speaking of earlier. They always like to use that. So the thing is, pleasure has its place. It motivates us, but to use pleasure as kind of a moral compass, it's dangerous. For example, many psychopaths, like serial killers, derive pleasure from killing other people. But does that mean that it's acceptable to do it just because you gain pleasure from it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, pleasure can motivate people to do all sorts of sick things. It doesn't make it right. And, you know, like, I think that that's what, like, to bring it back to what we were talking about before, I think that people are mistaking pleasure for love. You know,
Yeah, that's
love
true.
is something higher than pleasure. And, yeah.
Yeah, because like you explained, love is basically you trying to lead someone to the right path, and like you showing that you care for them and affection and stuff like that. But these people are just think that love is lust. I've explained before, it all becomes masturbation. It all becomes jerking off. That's how it all turns into.
Yeah, exactly.
So like there's all kinds of different sexual degeneracies that are being pushed out there. Why do you think the leftists try to push cuckoldry? Because if you look at feminists, according to feminist study, cuckoldry is not allowing your wife to fuck other men is misogynist. Do you think that the reason they do this is because they don't want us to have regards for our private property? Is it because they want to like, or do you think all the aim is just to destroy the nuclear family?
Well, I think that cuckoldry is just one of the many sexual perversions that are being pushed on people today. Like obviously, prior to all this nonsense, cuckoldry, you know, was a sexual fetish. You know, it's like gaining pleasure and watching your wife get fucked by some other guy. But I think that cuckoldry is a good analogy for a lot of these, you know, weak beta males who buy into leftist ideology, because it's like they're seeing their people, their country getting fucked by, you know, foreigners who,
Yeah, getting set ablaze by Muslim terrorists.
yeah, just like surrendering that which is precious to people who don't have your best interests in mind. You know, that's essentially what the cuckoldry of today is. And when you call someone a cuck, that's what you're calling them. Is somebody who's, for whom nothing is sacred, for whom nothing is beyond sacrificing to some foreign entity. And I think that cuckoldry is very useful for people who are pushing this degeneracy and people who want to destroy the family, because if somebody like embraces the cuckold mentality, then they are not likely to have a healthy family relationship. Because let's say you're a man, you know, you're in a monogamous nuclear marriage, and you know, obviously you're not going to want to see your wife or your children get taken from you and, you know, get raped, or, you know, get abused, sexually abused, or manipulated by some malevolent entity. But if you embrace this, you know, cuckold mentality, then, you know, what's it to you whether your wife goes out to some bar, has sex with a bunch of STD-ridden degenerates?
Yeah, fucks Tyrone as well.
Yeah, just rides the cock carousel. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, monogamy is an oppressive social construct. Like, you can't be having that there, Goy. That's problematic. So, you have to surrender your wife to the diversity. You have to surrender your loved ones, your children, to this malevolent to just like to the world. Like, basically, like, nothing belongs to you. You just have to give it all up. And basically, cuckoldry, it's like the negation of love. Because if love is wanting to set someone on the right path to have their best interest in mind, cuckoldry is the complete opposite. It's saying, do what you want. I don't care. Go out.
You're basically giving the impression that you don't care at all for that person.
Yeah. Yeah. So cuckoldry it negates love.
True. Good food for thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the main obvious cuckoldry we see, like the most obvious cuckold themes that we tend to see throughout, is the most obvious ones tend to be the interracial ones. Like, they're trying to destroy, of course, Western civilization, and not only that, but they're also trying to do it through genetic dilution, and that's essentially white genocide.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've said it before. Like, if you have a healthy society where people, identify with their own kind, like back in the 1900s, like, you didn't see, people, like, you didn't see, like, widespread interracial marriages. I mean, of course they existed, but it wasn't like what you see today, where, Bella and the Bulldogs is, convincing, little girls to, and go out and, get it on with Tyrone. Like, people prefer to be with others like themselves. And, Hispanics prefer to be with other Hispanics. Indians prefer to be with other Indians. And only, like, some sort of, hostile...
It's natural selection.
Yeah. Only when you have some sort of, like, hostile Orwellian media telling them that, being, like, love of one's own is wrong. You have to, be with others. You have to, date other people outside your outside of your ethnic background. Like, only when you have that you see this widespread racial cuckoldry.
Yeah. So another sexual degeneracy that you also see being pushed as well is incest.
Yeah. I think that incest would be a lot harder to push, because I believe that humans have a natural feeling of disgust for having sexual intercourse with their close family members.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I'm pretty sure that even if, the elites tried to push that, they would be very unsuccessful, because, most people are not really interested in getting it on with their dads,
Exactly. Oh, what's up, Blake?
I don't know, man. Like, my friend was, like, showing me, like, some porn he was checking out the other day, and apparently they're in stepsister porn, man. Apparently that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, but those people are sick. Most people...
It's just weird. Like, my friend was like, man, check out this weird shit. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be another 2 girls, 1 finger, 2 girls, 1 cup thing. Alright, whatever, show me. Oh. This is a lot more normal, but a lot more gross at the same time. Oh God.
Yeah, and also natural selection, it weeds out incest, because, children who are born of incestual relationships tend to be a little bit funny looking. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the UK, but, I heard a lot of people there are interrelated.
Yeah, I have a friend who has, like, British relations, and, like, he hates it because, like, apparently, like, some of his family members, like, several generations ago kind of interbred or whatever, and so he's like, man, I look like an ugly piece of shit, one angle because of that fucking shit. I mean, just look at me, I'm like, bro, I can't tell if you're ugly or not, I'm not fucking gay, so...
Yeah, there's that one actress. What's her name? Maisie Williams. I think she's on like Game of Thrones. Like, I'm pretty sure she's inbred.
Maisie Williams. Let me look her up. Oh yeah, I could see it.
It looks like her face was like crushed by a hydraulic press.
Damn. I'm ready to see that video. It'll be on the darknet, but I'm down. You want to see someone's face crushed in? Yeah, well here you go. But I thought this was going to be a gore video. Nope, it's just a photo of an ugly actress. Oh, okay. Thanks, buddy.
Like, it's kind of like you said earlier, Tom. Natural selection also removes incest, because naturally you would probably think that one of your female cousins at the most is pretty, but you will not have any lust in that.
Yeah, it would take. Well, I mean, with first cousins, I think it's different because some cultures have like embraced marriage between first cousins, but I think that that's only the case where like with like really sparse population densities where there's not too many women around.
Isn't
But
that a popular
I think
thing
that,
with royal families too?
yeah, there was a lot of that going on in the past, but that doesn't make it right. Like here in the West, where there's tons of people, there's no shortage of women here in the West, so there's no excuse to be banging your cousin.
Exactly. Unless
Yeah,
you're
there's no disagreement.
unless you're Kinsey.
Well, I mean, I think that that's the least of his problems.
All right, on to the next one. Pedophilia.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, should this even have to be a discussion? I mean, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's right. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it
Just
happens
because you
in
naturally have the urge to want to fuck a kid doesn't mean you should fuck a kid. Obviously, a kid can't consent.
Okay,
I
but
mean-
wait a minute. I think that there's a distinction that needs to be drawn between pedophilia and hebephilia. Pedophilia is the attraction to kids who are not sexually developed, so like prepubescent kids, whereas hebephilia is like attraction to 14, 15-year-olds. I mean, I think that hebephilia is wrong because 14 and 15-year-olds are not mentally capable of raising kids or dealing with the consequences of sexual relationships, so they should not be having sex. And you should not, as an adult, you shouldn't be banging 14-year-olds. That's wrong.
You should be
But
sticking your-
pedophilia is a lot worse because humans don't naturally have any sort of urges towards 8-year-olds, because 8-year-olds are not even capable of giving birth. So if you're attracted to younger than 10-year-olds, then that's just sick. It's a sickness.
That definitely. But yeah, hebophilia to me is like really weird. I mean, it's just like you could get with like a 19-year-old, but you would rather get with a 14-year-old. Okay. Okay, buddy. I see where you set your standards here, This isn't an anime guy. You're not 16 years old. All right? Reality check.
Yeah, another thing about in regards to pedophilia is that if you look at a lot of the organizations and people in the past who have pushed for like pedophilia acceptance, a lot of them are homosexuals. Like
They were homosexual Marxists.
yeah, like there was this one prominent guy back in the 90s named Allen Ginsberg. I don't know if you know about him.
Ginsberg.
Yeah, he was he looks like the happy merchant basically. And this guy was a member of NAMBLA. He was
Oh boy.
he was a Marxist. He basically advocated openly for pedophilia. And you have a lot of these like YouTube commentators like Yiannopoulos and some other guys I'm not going to mention who are homosexual, and they are also advocating for like pedophilia. So I think that there's a correlation there between homosexuality and pedophilia acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said earlier, back to what I said. Remember how I said that the whole concept of, how they made the word love a very loose term? to the point it doesn't have the meaning anymore. Like you said, where you look out for someone's interest and lead someone to the right path. Nowadays, it's used as pleasure, and that's where it usually comes from.
Yeah, the word love has been debased, and just to set the record straight, no, as an adult, you cannot. You cannot have sexual love for a young child, because if you did, then you wouldn't be engaging in those acts, because that's not setting them on the right path. That's corrupting them and turning their and ensuring that they're going to have a very confused and degenerate future.
Yeah.
It's a matter of love versus lust, and deciphering what those two are. And it doesn't take very long, but for some reason nowadays it's very difficult. Like, for some reason we make it a big, debate over, oh, you love someone, when you mean, you just want to fuck them, and it's just like, you're just horny, you lust for them. That, okay, that's all right. I'm not talking about like pedophilia or whatever. I'm just talking about like in general, like love versus lust or whatever. But,
Yeah.
Love is definitely looking out for someone's best interest. Now, I don't think, love for a child equals lust for a child. That's no.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you could love a
No.
child, but you can't have lust for them. Like, you cannot have sexual pleasure from them because, I mean, let's all be honest here. How many of you guys will be attracted to somebody who's like 10 and under? Ugh, just the thought of it will probably gets you gagging.
Ugh. Shit, I'm thinking about the cartoon Rugrats. Ugh.
Ugh.
Well, I don't know if you've been browsing Salon.com. Maybe some of their influences creep into your psyche, and the thought that it's gross to be attracted to like 10-year-olds. That's just colonial influence, your white male colonial influence getting
Oh
into
God,
your
is
mind.
it Salon.com that leftist progressive website?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, like
notorious.
Salone's like worse than Huffington Post in my opinion.
Oh yeah, the Huffington Post when they denied the fact that there were rapes over there in Europe done by the refugees.
It's done by Whitey the Blame the Brown Man.
But yeah, Tom, what were you saying earlier about Salon.com?
Oh, I was just saying that Salon.com, they're really heavy into pushing pedophilia.
Oh yeah, I saw that the I'm a pedophile, not a monster.
Yeah, so I mean, I wonder if some people read that shit and then they're just like, like the stigma against pedophilia is just, white privilege and colonialist influence. So
Oh,
you have to decolonize your mind there, Goy.
oh,
It's kind of like Rocky Mr. East said, like in one of his videos. The thing about the left is that many of them will use pedophilia only when it suits their interests. Like when it comes to like let's say wanting to demonize the Catholic Church or something like that, they will be quick to bring up pedophilia. But other than that, but overall, they will support it and defend it.
Yeah.
see, it's okay if every man does it, but if a religious man does it, it's wrong.
No one should be doing it, if anything, but still, it's hypocritical of them to complain about pedophilia and then use that to demonize the Catholic Church, but then later on, go around normalizing it, saying, hey, it's okay for you to fuck this kid.
Yeah, it's okay for you because you're not a white cis male, but since you're a trans black Asian male, it's
You're a
okay.
trans lizard.
You're a trans lizard attack helicopter airplane whose color palette fluid.
But anyway, before I end this, do you guys have any final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say about pedophilia that it's just another way to attack the family, because you can't have a healthy nuclear family where the kids are being diddled by the guy down the street.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you have to have like as a parent, you're not going to want your children to be like prey for, you know, these sexual deviants and these promiscuous degenerates lurking around. So by pushing pedophilia acceptance, or by, you know, eliminating the age of consent, is just another way for, you know, Marxists and degenerates to, first of all, prevent people from having kids, and second of all, to prevent good parents from raising their children properly and instilling good values in them.
True. Wait, before I end this, I'm not gonna end this yet. You know what? Fuck it. I want to move to something else. Transgenderism.
One sec, I'll be right back.
Oh, glorious.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, I'm back. Me and Tom came back at the same time.
Yeah, I just had to take a phone call.
I also did too. But anyway, so moving on to the topic, transgenderism.
Oh boy. Wait, when we say transgender, are we talking about all the, like, 50 different types of gender, or are we talking about male to female, female to male, like, full, like, sexual reconstructive, you know, surgery?
All of it. Like, see, one of the main arguments many people would use to, like, want to justify a guy wanting his genitals to be mutilated would be gender dysphoria. But see, the problem with gender dysphoria is that gender dysphoria is not as a result of let's say, biological problems. Gender dysphoria is a result of emotional problems, and when somebody has emotional problems, you have to help them. You can't just encourage them in a lifestyle like that, because telling a person that they are actually what they identify as will be like telling a person with schizophrenia that the voices in their head are real.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just feel a lot more strongly about, like, everyone making a make-believe gender, you know? Because I feel like that's a lot more prominent where I'm at, because, you know, the whole sex, you know,
Oh, the whole
thing,
idea of that there's
that's weird. Okay, we can all agree that's weird, that's wrong. But I just feel like the gender one's just, like, the bigger topic of, like, right now, because the other one will probably always be there. This one is just kind of seems like a recent phenomenon. Like, yeah, I'm aesthetic gender. What the fuck is aesthetic gender?
Oh, you know, you mean the concept that usually pushed by feminist SJWs that there's like 6 gorillion genders.
Yeah. See, because I think we can all agree with that cutting your penis off is silly, or, you know, putting, like, a penis instead of a vagina or whatever is silly. I think we can all agree on that, and that issue can be discussed, I think, a bit later. But I think the whole gender thing should be discussed more, because it's a lot more of a recent phenomenon.
Yeah, I think
I've never read anything up to, like, now, within, like, the last couple of years. Yeah, I identify as, like, plantkin or plantkin. I don't even know how you identify as a fucking cactus. What, do you think you should sit in the desert all day and just hold, like, a shit ton of water? Fuck it.
I think it should be pointed out that most like transgenders, that like the gender dysphoria is not the only mental illness that they suffer from. Actually, studies have been done that show that these people have, like, they have a much higher rate of depression, of, like, borderline personality disorder and other personality disorders, as well as, like, other dysphorias as well. And even after these people get their surgeries and like they assume the identity of the opposite sex, they still have very high suicide rates. So it kind of suggests that gender dysphoria is an illness that cannot just be treated by, you know, giving the person hormones and disfiguring surgeries. You know, these people,
Yeah.
I think that they're fundamentally broken in other ways than just, you know, I want to be the opposite sex. Like, these people probably have underlying mental or neurological issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's not politically correct, so we can't do it. Welcome to 2016, fuckers.
And it's not good for the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, so like, like the whole idea of a guy getting his genitals mutilated because he feels like he shouldn't have them, it will be the equivalent of a guy walking to the clinic and asking the doctor, "Hey, can you cut off my legs? My brain tells me I shouldn't have it."
I think people are actually doing that now because there's like people that identify as like they want to be blind or something, and so like they
Oh, yeah,
ask
there's even
doctors and shit to
trans
actually
handicaps.
like remove their fucking sight, and it's just like why?
Yeah,
Why?
remember that
Why would you want to be
guy?
blind?
Remember that guy in Germany who thought he was a cat? He died a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah,
But
and the girl in Norway too who thinks she's a cat.
yeah, well, I'm talking about there's this guy. He died a couple of years ago. He lived in Germany. I think his name was Stocking Cat, but he was also transgender. He thought he was a female cat. And then there was some person I read about a few months ago who had a bunch of plastic surgery to turn themselves into a dragon. I'm pretty sure that they were transgender as well. So, you know, these people, they're much more likely to suffer from other body dysphorias than just, you know, I want to be a woman.
Yeah, that's true. Half of
Good
these people probably even hate themselves too.
episode about that.
Yeah, and like you know how in Germany and Sweden and all these other countries, transgenderism is very accepted. Most taxpayer funds go to the clinics so they could get their sex change operation. But don't they still have a high suicide rate in those countries too of transgenders?
Yeah, there's really no difference in suicide rate among transgenders between, you know, Sweden and, you know, Mexico or Mozambique. These people, they have a very high suicide rate. Let's just put it that way. Even when they do get all these benefits and when they are socially accepted.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mental illness happens. It's sad, but I think it's even more treacherous when the media tries to push this as though it's, you know, it's just a lifestyle choice. It's just like being left-handed, you know.
Yeah.
It really messes with people because some people who wouldn't have done this or maybe don't suffer the same body dysphoria, they get it in their heads that, oh, you know, like, you know, becoming a woman and, you know, getting my cock sliced off, like that's just, you know, it's an aesthetic lifestyle choice. I feel like doing it today, so, you know, I'm gonna do it. Like, no, that's
Exactly.
not right.
It's like I said earlier, it's like telling a person with schizophrenia that the voices in their head are real.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, do you both have any final thoughts?
Uh,
Oh, okay, kids, you can't be aesthetic gender. You shouldn't identify as a cactus. You should be proud of who you are. And you should go for your dreams unless it deals with liberal arts. Then you should probably have a second option.
Hey, that's racist. I identify as a polygender lamppost.
Well, fuck you too, sir.
I'm gonna report you to the SPLC. You're gonna hear from my lawyer sometime soon.
I wonder if they ever had to deal with a case like that. They're just like, oh boy, how do we defend the civil liberties of identifying as a fucking lamppost? Okay, guys, get together and let's liberally interpret these laws and go crazy.
It's easy. You just have to check your privilege.
Oh, damn. I have so many privileges right now.
Oh yeah, one food for thought for everybody watching this. If Jack Donovan's book, The Way of Men, hasn't uncucked you, there's no hope for you at all. You might as well just go back on Tumblr.
Tumblr.
But anyway, Tom, do you have any final thoughts?
Not really. Smash degeneracy.
Smash cultural Marxism, and remember, have pride in who you are. Don't let this indoctrinate you. Don't let them tell you that, oh, this lifestyle is okay for you, goy.